All right, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Let's talk about it. Happy Saturday to everybody. We have a couple of special guests, very familiar faces. One you guys already know for the voice of college football. His name is Tim Prangley. He's probably one of the biggest superstars you will find around. the other one, his name is Rusty. Fight on Rusty. He's with Arrogant Nation. You guys can find him on Twitter. Rusty's very popular, guys, especially with other social media accounts in the Twitter space. Everybody knows Fight on Rusty, so I appreciate both you guys coming on. But we got a lot of information that we kind of want to talk about real quick, and that is the USC football practice that's taking place right now. That's one of the number one things I want to talk about, because right now I'm hearing that it is going exceptionally well, and we got a special guest there. You guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, that was a pretty big picture that went circulating, right?
Right. And there it is. It's Aaron Donald. For some that can see it, let's see here. Get you guys up here. Some that can see it. Aaron Donald is currently at practice, and we got multiple five-star guys. Get this camera right. Multiple five-star guys that are at practice, and it's straight up go time, man. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? We talked about Aaron Donald possibly being there. If not on the staff, we talked about him possibly being closely. Now, I'm not going to say affiliated, but the fact that he's friends with Eric Henderson, I think is really speaking big time as to what's taking place with USC. And you see these five-star recruits right now. Who wouldn't want to be closely connected with a guy like Aaron Donald? What are your guys' thoughts on that? Anyone can go at any time.
Well, I was just going to say that maybe not in an official capacity, but I absolutely see him staying in LA, around LA. And if he stays local, then you can count on him being there, because Eric had a really close relationship with him. And so Coach Henney will definitely use those ties to the NFL, as well as his personal relationship to advance the program as much as possible. And it's nice to see, when you're talking about a Hall of Famer, maybe a GOAT at that position, defensive tackle, that bring him in would be great for the recruits to see, obviously.
No doubt about it. Your thoughts as well, Rusty?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, right? I mean, having that sort of resource right down the street, able to come to USC whenever Eric Henderson pretty much calls it his name, that's a pretty valuable resource to have. And, to your point, huge recruiting weekend, ton of 5- and 4-star defensive linemen. I mean, I saw somebody write on the Peristyle the other day, basketball players look up to Kobe Bryant the same way football players look up to Aaron Donald. Like, it's that kind of capacity. So the fact that he's coming to campus, he's sharing his knowledge, he's saying, come get to work with my guy, Eric Henderson, that's huge.
No doubt. I totally agree. And, we got a little bit of a list here that we'll talk about some of these guys. These are some big time guys. And I'm going to be going through some of these super chats. Hey, thank you, Kristen. I would love Aaron Donald to be on the staff. I totally agree. And so when you look at some of these guys, man, some of these guys are actually committed to certain schools already, Georgia, Texas. And, when is the last time that USC was able to, get some guys like this on campus when they're currently committed to other guys? When you talk about high caliber guys like this, especially when you talk about the defensive linemen. And the first one you look at, I believe he's committed to Georgia. His name is Elijah Griffin is not committed yet, but Elijah Griffin, he's ranked the number 4 defensive tackle in the country, and he's rated a 5-star, and he's a big-time guy as well. Then you got Justice Terry, who's committed to Georgia. He's ranked the number 8 prospect in the country. Isaiah Gibson, he's the edge rusher. He's ranked the number 37 player in the country. And then you got a guy by the name of Trajan Odom, ranked the D-line as well, 4-star prospect, number 280 player in the country. Then Brandon Brown, he's a big-time guy who's already committed to Texas. He's ranked number 307. So when you look at the caliber of players, it's one thing to get quantity in, but it's another thing to get quality in. And the likelihood, I don't think we strike out on all of these guys, man. So I guess the next question is, how likely is it that we strike out on all of them? Not very likely. How many of you guys think we get out of some of these guys?
It's hard to pull a number, But I fully agree with you. The fact, if you remember, Rusty's talking about the peristyle. You guys, if you're like recruiting freaks like Rusty and I am, you know these guys have. We've been getting them to come out. You know, there's been no shortage of big time defensive linemen and offensive linemen. They'll come in and trip to USC, get a nice weekend, right, in Southern California. But then they talk about how great the weather was. You know what I mean? How great it was to be in LA. I can see myself living in LA. But they never talk about the coaching staff. These guys are talking about the coaching staff for the first time in a long time. And that's what you got to look at. The fact that they're keying in on, hey, I can go here and I can get developed by the same guy. We're talking about Aaron Donald that was coaching up Aaron Donald. And you got Shelby coming in and saying, you know, I don't know. He was showing me things I've never seen before. And I'm working on things I've never seen before. So the development piece, we've talked about it. USC is making their way through the NIL environment. But one thing we do know is that they're pushing this entire coaching staff, especially when it came to the defense side of the ball. They kept saying, we heard two words, word versatility all the time, right? But then we also like to hearing, you know, development. And the one thing these kids want is that, sure, of course they want the NIL money, but their ultimate dream is to get to the NFL. And that's what they're selling right now. They're saying, look, come to SC, we'll get you the NFL.
No doubt. Rusty?
Yeah. To Tim's point, like, definitely hard to put a number on it. Originally, I was thinking, you know, maybe we'll get one top guy and a couple of, you know, maybe we'll strike out on the rest, which isn't really striking out, just given the list that's coming through. And maybe we'll get, you know, another second level guy and then a couple third level guys, right? So, you know, we look at the quality of guys, that's not so bad. But, you know, just seeing the kind of momentum that Eric Henderson has on the recruiting trail, I can definitely see us landing, you know, two of those high level guys and then a couple more of those second level guys. I obviously that's a very optimistic viewpoint, but I think, you know, just the way that we've set up our visits where we've had kids come in from Georgia, from Louisiana, from Texas, and do unofficials in March that are now coming back in you know 2 months later to do their official visits in May and June. Like, that's huge. You know, like Tim said, like, usually they come out for an official visit and that's it. Like, they'll go back home and they'll forget about USC. Now it's, you know, talking about the coaching staff, talking about the development. NIL is stepping up and really, you know, making a difference this cycle, whereas in previous cycles it wasn't one of those things that you could say was a positive about USC. So I think all those, you know, factors combined, I think it's, you know, a very optimistic view for us to say that, you know, we're going to get two high level guys and a couple of our second level guys, but I think it may even be more realistic than optimistic at this point.
No, it's an absolute great point, Rusty. And the thing about it, we always talk about, you know, the NFL hopefully is the goal. Everybody, the percentage of guys that actually make it to the NFL, it's a small percent, but the percentage of guys that are 4-star, 5-star guys that actually make it, it's a little higher. So when you think about these guys, thinking about the long game opposed to the short game, and the short game is the NIL. The long game is, you know, get developed by a guy like Eric Henderson and go ahead and get that 30, 40, $50 million contract. And to see these guys really flock to him and trust his word, trust the process, and the process being that you come to some place like USC, you know, that really alone is saying a whole lot. It's showing that this guy is a very trustworthy guy. Of course, you couple that with a guy like Aaron Donald on the sideline, as we alluded to earlier. But now, you know, you really developing something. And if that trend keeps up, I never thought I would say in my wildest dreams, I would say Lincoln Riley's team is looking a lot stronger in recruiting on defense than it is on offense. You guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Rusty. Sorry, I was distracted by the chat. I'm so sorry, Jay.
No, you're good. I'm just go ahead.
I was gonna say, Guy was just talking about, you know, that how you and I, Jay, made a deal to go on each other's shows. We don't make a deal. We know each other. We talk. You know, we talk on the phone.
We talk. We don't just talk on Twitter. We talk on. We actually have each other's phone numbers.
And so I got stuck, and he helped me out yesterday. And he said he had a show. I said, "Hey, I kind of stuck my way onto the show today." Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rusty.
No, you're good. I just think it's funny. Like, you know, Lincoln Riley has never had a good defense, and he has still put teams in the college football playoffs, right? I don't think we'll ever be in a situation where the defense is better than the offense, because the system that Lincoln Riley runs is flexible for any type of quarterback. You see that the offense that Miller Moss was running in the Holiday Bowl, a little bit different from the offense that Caleb Williams ran throughout his career. So I think that, obviously it'd be really, really nice if, we get some like high level defensive players, maybe even get some folks in the transfer portal. Who knows? But I don't think we'll ever get to a world where the defense is better than the offense, because that offense is it's the best in college football, or one of the best. I won't say the best but consistently top 5 over the last few seasons. So I look forward to the defense catching up to the offense in some sort of way.
Absolutely. And we see that with recruiting. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, exactly. I agree with Rusty completely. And, there's type A personality people out there, right? And when you say you're this, or you try to pigeonhole them into something, or you say you can't, especially you can't to a type A personality, I think that's what I don't think Lincoln Riley. There's no coaches out there that don't care about defense. Anytime I heard the fact that people say he doesn't care about defense, that's just a stupid comment. However, I would agree now that I'm stepping back and watching the last couple of years and seeing what he's done this year, I think he didn't place enough emphasis on defense. I think he's corrected that. I think he's seen that blind spot like we all have sometimes. And with that offense, as Rusty's talking about, even a marginal, even in just a measurable change in this defense to get it better, which I think we're going to do a quantum leap, is instantly going to put us in a situation where we will be competing for the Big Ten. And as we get our roster together, we will be competing for national championships.
Yeah, no question about it. Sheldon Christie, hey, thank you very much. You said, fight on, brothers. Love watching you guys and can't wait for the new era of the Trojan football. Fight on from Louisiana. Hey, fight on, my man. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. Anthony Butler, thank you as well. Juju and the girls are balling. Hey, yeah, Tim he kind of kept me up to date, got me up to date a little bit. Says they're absolutely balling. We need them to ball. I'm picking them to make it to the Final Four. Hopefully, I want them to win it all.
Yeah, the third quarter. Yeah, in the third quarter, they're up 28. That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know it's kind of hard. I didn't even realize, when scheduling this, I didn't even realize the girls' games would be going on. I'm totally lost in the sauce to that. But when you look at the numbers changes in the weight games, and, I talked to you guys backstage here, and I kind of mentioned to you that I saw a little bit of footage from today's scrimmage, but I'm not going to get in trouble. I don't want to put it out there, but I did see some things, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, a couple of players that I saw from today scrimmage, and these guys were hitting today. I saw Braylon Shelby and I saw Cameron Fountain look absolutely ridiculous. Now, we can attribute that to them being ridiculous athletes, or we can attribute that to offensive line play. Maybe
a little bit.
Cameron Fountain did the spin move on, but wow, he looked incredible. You guys, any thoughts on that? Just from what I kind of told you guys.
I think the middle of that offensive line is going to be, obviously, with the experience at least on the left side, at center and then at left guard with Prangley is probably going to be the strength, I believe, this year. I think we got to remember, we got excited, but Elijah Page just was a freshman last year. You got to relax. There's going to be some growing pains with him. I think both the guys you named are elite pass rushers, but we're going to face other elite pass rushers in the Big Ten. So there might be some patience and some growing pains early. The good news, all we have is LSU and Michigan the first 3 weeks, so we should be okay, Jay.
I think. What's your thoughts, Rusty?
Yeah, I think obviously the footage being what it is, I think it's exciting that Cameron Fountain and Braylon Shelby are as advertised. Braylon Shelby obviously held back a little bit by Alex Grinch last year. Definitely put on some weight during this offseason. Looks like a whole different player out there. Cam Fountain is just a grown man. I don't know why we aren't or why we didn't recruit Georgia to the capabilities that we could before. Right. But Cameron Fountain is the reason why you do it, right? It's that SEC type body, just built a little different. But yeah, to your point, part of that could be the offensive line. I do think, we do have some good players there. I think Emmanuel Pregnon, just seeing how he reshaped his body during the offseason, I think that's definitely a plus. He's a guy who was, slightly raw coming over from Wyoming. What's up, Anthony? I think he had a little bit of a rough transition last year. I think this year, putting the right weight on his body, working out the way that Benny Wiley and the boys are having them work out, I think it's going to make a huge difference. I will say, like, a guy like Amos Talalele, who came in like 360, 365 down to 337. So, it's not just guys gaining weight, it's guys gaining the right weight and losing some of that baby fat. So, I think it's exciting to obviously practice 3 that they're out there going full go, hitting each other, which is awesome. That's the kind of stuff that we didn't really see in previous years, I feel like. I'm not going to, obviously that's nothing on former coaches or anything. It was probably just, some sort of thought process. But we're going to the Big Ten. We're going to have to be tougher. We're going to have to be bigger. We're going to have to be faster. We're going to have to be stronger. So I think, obviously everything that we're doing now is getting us, ready for that point. So overall, I think it's, hearing the young guys really stepping up, I think that's a really big positive for us, especially on the defensive line.
Man, I totally agree with you. And Oscar says, any update on Aaron Donald? I don't know if you're coming in a little late, Oscar, but I showed this picture right here of Aaron Donald at practice today. And, he hasn't officially joined anything yet. It looks like he's going to take his time, retire, and just enjoy some things a little bit. But as I stated before, if we could just keep him around, just like we're doing today, if we could just keep him on the sideline, come to the practices. Listen, to me, at this point, just to see him, and he'll be giving little tips from here and there, but just to see him on the sideline and just at practice, I think for right now, that's good enough until he kind of makes up his mind as to what he wants to do. So that's kind of where we are with the Aaron Donald situation. And so let's move on real quick to Benny Wiley, the bad raw deal that Benny Wiley got, man. What are you guys' thoughts on multiple guys? And Rusty, I think you put up something on Twitter in reference to the 340 pounds that these guys gained. And so now you see these guys looking thicker. Even the freshmen that came in, Marquise Gallegos, Cam Fountain, all these guys that just came in gained some weight. And so now you see a new looking team, man. So what's your thoughts on the raw deal? Because it was going out that Benny Wiley was just not that guy. We need to, you heard it from Oklahoma fans. I know you saw it on Twitter. So what's your thoughts on that, Rusty? Now, has Benny Wiley officially redeemed himself?
For now, yeah. I think for now, definitely. I think this is his big redemption season. He needed to go out there and kind of prove that what he was doing was driven by former coaches. And I think we've kind of discovered that. We look at, I put that tweet I put out about average weight for the defensive line, edge guys or defensive end guys, and offensive line. Defensive line, 273 in 2023, over 300 in 2024. D end, 240 pounds in 2023, up 14.9 pounds in 2024. And then the offensive line, already over 300 pounds, up to 311 on average. And that's, counting Amos Talalele again, who, kind of reshaped his body and lost quite a bit of weight and quite a bit of that body fat. But yeah, I mean, this was Benny Wiley's demon season, right? He needed to go out there, prove himself. He had to be the guy. He had to show that, what he does is driven by the coaching staff. And the coaching staff wanted this team to be bigger. They wanted them to be stronger. I hope, and, obviously that's the one thing that, you think about in these situations. I hope that they're able to keep the same speed that they had previously, because obviously putting on weight, it's a good thing, but it could also make you slower. You heard Braylon Shelby kind of talk about how he was able to maintain his weight or maintain his speed and add weight. And that's the ideal scenario. But you think of some of these other guys, hopefully they're working on speed training too, which I'm sure that's absolutely what they're doing. But yeah, no, just a huge offseason by Benny Wiley. Obviously after spring practice, you have summer workouts. So we'll see how that goes.
No doubt. Tim?
Half of it is the size, right? So like Rusty just perfectly said, they passed out what they call it, the guys that all getting off the bus team, right? The guys just walk out with all just huge. That's part of it, the speed, but also remember, you put on weight, you're carrying more weight. And so there's also the conditioning portion of this, when we think of it, strength and conditioning, right? So are they going to tire in that fourth quarter? There's going to be a lot of really big offensive linemen in the Big Ten leaning on those guys for 3 quarters. How are they going to finish in the fourth quarter is going to be a big deal. And that's a part of this. I mean, me, I used to battle with Matt about Benny Wiley, and I used to push back.
I was going to let you say that. I wasn't going to say that, Tim.
I mean, so the short story is Matt didn't sell out. Matt didn't say he needs to go unequivocally. What he was saying is, wow, last year was kind of a mess. But then, as I was saying, and what I've heard you say, and I've heard many other people say, he's just doing what he's told by the position coaches and by the head coach. What size. What do you want me to get you guys up to? What do you want them to look like? And then that's when he does. He said, what do you want? And then he gives it to him. You can only do what your boss tells you to do. And that's exactly what Benny Wiley did last year.
No doubt, man. I totally agree. He was giving directives and he just kind of followed that. Now we see a whole different type. And then to Rusty's point, Braylon Shelby went down the line of everything that he was eating, all the way from his yoga parfait. I mean, he really just kind of broke it down. So these guys are, everything. And you couple that with the nutrition plan and the strength and conditioning plan, I think these guys will maintain their speed, their agility. You got to understand, the Big Ten teams, they do it as well. The SEC schools, they do it as well. And so as long as they're able to do it and be able to maintain all that, I think we'd be in some good shape. This is Shanks. Can we expect any commitments from this weekend or in the near future? I think it's a great sign. Just as we talked about Aaron Donald being there, I think there's a lot of influence. I think the coaching staff is developing a lot of relationships, and I think that we may possibly see. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I think it's a possibility that we could see some commitments coming very, very soon. You guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I heard from people close to the program that it was a really good showing today, and there were some really positive conversations with some of the top level recruits. So I think we may not get commitments, tomorrow or Monday or next week or something, but when these guys come back for their officials, a lot of them coming in June, I think we'll get some commitments there. I would consider this kind of like that traction visit where, they get their interest confirmed. The reasons why they visited were confirmed, and then they come back for their official, and that's where we can have them pull the trigger.
Yeah, and with the quality again, with the coaching staff, with the fact that in the past it's been, if you were a high level defensive lineman, you had plenty of suitors. You could play the slow game. I think USC is going to be filling roster spots, and so for the first time in a long time, you're competing on Brian Kennedy Field, but you're also competing with other guys for roster spots. So I do believe that added quality. What we're going to see here is the play, though, right? We're really not going to see the big time moves until these guys see the proof on the field that these guys could do early on. There's going to be. It's not like we're looking, if USC doesn't win the Big Ten this year, it's the end of the world, or if they don't win a national championship, Riley's a bum. But what it is they have to make a huge push and beat some teams on national television in that conference and make statements. Then we're going to see the recruits come. That's what you need. That's it's exactly what happened in 2002. In 2001, with they saw it was a 6-6 season, 6-7 after the bowl loss. But once you saw that things were changing, and then in 2002, when the wins against big programs and big times, then you saw the waterfall of players coming because they bought into the system and the program. Right.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mark says, "Hey, you guys teaming up." Mark, listen, we helping each other out, man. Tim comes on mine periodically. It's probably been a couple of months now, but this is not the first time it's happened. But I guess I think Tim even brought up the idea of maybe once whenever we need to do it. Tim is absolutely right. All of us sometimes get lost in the sauce and just get busy with our lives. Schedules are different, but hey, who knows? We may be trying to make it happen. What you think, Tim?
I'm always trying to team up with these guys. You could ask them, both of them. You ask
Yeah,
them
he's told me multiple times.
I love hanging out with these guys. I mean, you guys aren't going to find many people as tapped in as USCJ and as Rusty here. If you're not following them both on their socials, if you're not following USCJ on his channel, you're just missing out. I mean, it's just plain and simple. And so I'm just like you guys and Jay and Rusty, we're also just fans, and we cover the team, right? We're constantly on. We have a lot of connections, but we're just like everybody. We want, we're actual fans of this team. Not everybody that follows USC and reports on USC is a USC fan, obviously. But you're looking at three guys who probably sit down with a beer and just talk about USC football for hours anyway. So if I can get together with either one of these guys anytime, I'm down. So yeah, don't worry about that.
No doubt about it. Totally agree. So let's be realistic here as far as what being optimistic. I know we're optimistic about next year. Rusty, when you look at, I'm gonna ask you this first, and then Tim, realistically, when you look at the schedule, because there's been some changes in the schedule, and what I mean by that, you got teams like Michigan. Of course, they lost their coach, lost their defensive coordinator. They lost a couple of staff members, high caliber guys, and then I think they had the most players in the combine, which was 18 players. So they're losing a lot of players. And let's not forget, it took Michigan a while to get to where they are. It took them about three or 4 years to get to where they are. A lot of those guys were seniors, guys that were developed. So you look at that aspect of it, Michigan's not the same team. And then Washington as well on our schedule, going there and playing. Of course, they got the new coach. So realistically, what is the realistic expectation of USC football 2024 record-wise? Rusty first.
Yeah, no, those are some really good points. Obviously, LSU replacing kind of in the similar situation as us, replacing their whole defensive staff, replacing their quarterback. We don't know what the product's going to look like on the field, and that's kind of exciting. But at least, both of us had our quarterbacks playing the bowl game, so that one's going to be a really fun matchup. Michigan obviously doesn't look the same as they did. Who knows who's even going to be quarterback for them? Obviously, they had some issues with their defensive line coach. So who knows what happens when the portal opens back up. And then Washington, I think obviously Jed Fish is a great coach. He did really good things at Arizona, but he's fighting an uphill battle without Noah Fafita following him and without T-Mac following him. So I think it'll be kind of a rebuild season for them. So, you look at, which games were our toughest on paper going into, when the schedule was first released. It was LSU, it was Michigan, it was Washington. And I don't really think those are our toughest games anymore. I think Penn State, probably a really tough home game. Nebraska is probably a tough home game. And then you look at Notre Dame, and I think that's one of our tougher games. The others I'm not sure on. But anyway, when I think of final win totals for the season, there's so many things we don't know yet. We don't know how this defense is actually going to be. We don't know if we have the playmakers yet on defense. We can hope that, the coaching staff is going to turn it around in one off season. We'll see how that works out. But I think we can go from anywhere from 7 wins on the low side up to 11. Obviously, I'd love to say, we're going to go 12-0, but I don't think that's realistic. I think if everything clicks for us, we can, go 11-1 into the Big Ten championship and likely win the thing. So obviously, a lot of factors that can shift and change, and who knows what happens with the portal opening in April. But I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, but just cautiously optimistic about this team this year.
Totally agree, Tim.
Yeah, this just like last year, a lot of people pointed the defense, and the defense was bad. But our biggest a huge problem we had was on our offensive line. And as much as I've been the biggest champion of this group, the 2020, 2023 class of freshmen that came in, that got developed last year. Some of them are going to be seeing a lot of playing time this year. We haven't seen them as a unit together yet. They're all talented. They're all physical. They're all angry run blockers. I mean, everything about it, high energy motor guys, but we don't know, with an offensive line, the offensive line's a unit, and you're only as strong as your weakest link. And we saw that in a number of games last year. So I'm not going to dodge this one. I will say this. I will say that our hardest games are going to be, I think the most difficult games for us are going to be that Michigan game and the LSU game. And I'm see Alex here talking about LSU and I'm looking to smoke them. That would be beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.
Right? I remember 2003. We want to beat the Corn Dogs. Trust me, I know that's going to happen. But the thing is that's going to be a neutral game starting out, and this offensive line is going to get its first action. It's going to be, are they going to step up to that moment? We're going to find out. Can we land another tackle in the spring portal? That'll be a big factor in this as well. But Michigan, the big house, again, there's a lot going on. They lost a ton, like you said, on the road. And then Washington losing a ton on the road. That's just that. They lost their best offensive lineman. They lost their quarterback, their running back. Muhammad transferred out, right, with Texas. I can't remember where he ended up going.
No, he went to Oregon.
Oh, God, even worse. So Oregon. So, I mean, they're kind of a mess. I do believe in Fish. He's a good coach. There's good coaches. Sharon Moore in Michigan, we don't know. We don't know what he has. That Michigan team was senior late. I mean, they had like 5th and 6th year guys. They had grown men on the other team, and now most of them are gone. It will be interesting to see how much these teams take a step back. But I think there's a number of games USC just is going to win. We're lucky to have Penn State at home. You got Notre Dame at home, right? Which bodes well for a USC season. Those years when we have Notre Dame at home are the years that you got to look for a push to the national championship. Because let's face it, no matter how good or bad that Notre Dame team is, going into South Bend's always a crapshoot. So I'm looking at between 8 and 11 wins this year is my record. I think if we have that line, that offensive line is who I think they are. I'm very confident with the 10-11 win season.
No, yeah, no doubt. I'm thinking 9 wins. My thing with Michigan is this. I know it's at the big house, but I don't know what we got from Michigan. I don't know what we're getting from Michigan. I don't know who's the quarterback. I don't know, how Sharon Moore, the new coach, is going to manage this team. I mean, you just don't know. Mm-hmm. I know he did it with Jim Harbaugh gone, but it's just hard to kind of pinpoint what they have. And to me, losing as many veteran players, I just don't see them being the same team. I think a team like us, USC, especially when you look at how we finished off with the Holiday Bowl, and we saw how it's going to look with the Caleb Williams out of here. And we saw a guy like Miller Moss absolutely follow the blueprint to a T as far as how to run that offense. And if we could stay like that and be that effective and that potent, just to, Miller Moss stays within himself and be able to run that offense like that, I think that we can be successful with at least a top 30 defense. I think we can go in and beat a team like Michigan.
Can I follow up really quick on that one?
Yeah.
We saw Sharon Moore coach Jim Harbaugh's team. Now we're going to get to see Sharon Moore.
That's a great point.
Coach Sharon Moore's team, and he coached Jim Harbaugh's team with Jim Harbaugh's juniors and seniors, probably leadership on that team. This is going to be it's without a doubt going to be a different Michigan team they face.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anything you want to say on that, Rusty?
Yeah, with Michigan, obviously, it's going to be a different team. They're going to tout all offseason how they had the most players drafted in the draft, but that also means they had a lot of people leave, right? They do have some good development there. They've always been good at developing, but they're turning over a lot of their roster. So it'll be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah, I totally agree. Alex, hey, thank you once again for the super chat. This is a great question. Which is more important, Miller Moss staying healthy or the defense getting significantly better? Wow, that's a great question. I think both, but which if I had to choose one, I'll let you guys go first to take this. I'm gonna put Tim on the spot. Tim, you want to take this?
Sure, why not? I mean, I'll pull the crystal ball out. I don't have a true answer for it, but if I were to go the gut feeling, I think defense, because the old saying is defense wins championships. I think that's a bit antiquated. But if you have a sieve of a defense, I don't care who you have at quarterback. We saw that, right? We had Superman last year. So I think getting the defense in order is much more important. And I will also say, guys, Jaden Mayav is not just some new kid off the block with no skills. He's going to have all spring, right? With Riley and fall camp, and he's going to play. There's kind of like another freshman under Riley. I think his name was Caleb Williams. Am I calling? No, don't start tweeting at me. I didn't say that he is Caleb Williams, but I'm saying he's got a huge arm. He's an athletic young man, and he can. I think he'd do well in Riley's system. So I'd go with the defense.
Rusty, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd echo that. I mean, defense will keep you in games no matter what. We could run the ball 50 times and just get 3 yards average. If the other team is not scoring either, it's going to be one of those classic Big Ten games. So I obviously, echo what Tim said. He's spot on. Jaden Mayev is a really, really good quarterback. Last year, he was 20th in Power 5 plus UNLV in big-time throws. And that's a statistics that's going to put points on the board. So, when I look at, the depth in the QB room, it's not deep by any means. Obviously, Miller Moss going down would be tough. But if the defense improves significantly, I'm going to take that all day.
Man, I totally agree. So I think we'll be in good shape with the defense, man. And I think we're going to see a much improved defense. Listen, we got 100. Oh, go ahead, Tim. We got 106 in here. Make sure everybody hits that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that share button. Go ahead, Tim.
We forgot the biggest point. We're in the Big Ten now. We don't need a quarterback. There you go, defense.
All we need is a punter.
Right?
So you saying all the teams in the Big Ten are like Iowa? Is that what you're saying, Tim?
I'm not saying it's obviously a bit tongue in cheek, but let's face it. I mean, who's the toughest quarterback you guys were going to face this year?
That's a great. It's probably Ohio State's quarterback, whichever one. I guess is Will Howard. I mean, when you look at that, I mean, Maryland quarterbacks, he's gone, right? Penn State, I think his quarterback, I can't remember his name, but I think he may be one of the higher ranked quarterbacks. But Illinois, absolutely not. Nebraska, I guess they're gonna have Raiola. Yeah. So that's a great question as well. What is the best quarterback that we'll face? I would say maybe Will Howard. Rusty, you want to say something on that?
Yeah. So here are the quarterbacks in the Big Ten are projected: Dylan Gabriel, Drew Aller, Will Howard, Miller Moss, Will Rogers, Aiden Childs, Van Dyke from Miami, Houston Card, Luke Altmaier, someone from Minnesota, Cade McNamara, Rourke from Ohio, University of Ohio is now the Indiana quarterback, Dylan Raiola, Ethan Garbers. It's a trash QB conference. There's not a lot of big names there. Like we were kind of spoiled last year in the Pac-12 with Penix and Bo Nix and Caleb. We were kind of spoiled with that. There's such a huge drop off in QB talent in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's see, John. You said the teams that scared me are Wisconsin and Maryland. Actually, Maryland was good last year, but I think that quarterback, Tua's brother, I can't even remember his name, but I think he had a great deal to do with it. I mean, he was kind of a mobile guy. They did play good defense at times. They played Ohio State tough in the first half. I remember watching that game. I thought they could have been in the game, but I guess, Wisconsin, they got beat the past couple years, even before the new coach, by Washington State 2 years in a row. So I'm not exactly sure what we're going to get. You guys' thoughts on those two teams?
Well, Mike Locksley has shown what he's done a lot more with very little, like you talked about there with is Talia? I can't remember his first name. Yeah, he's gone. Obviously, he applied for a 6th year, but he was denied. But it wasn't just on offense. Yeah, their defense played above their talent level, right? They're not pulling in exactly the 5 stars and the 4 stars that the Ohio States of the world are pulling in. Mike Locksley's done a great job there. I would, we're going across the country. If we're talking about games where we're going to travel really far, and we're going to see how much we can stretch this travel and how much it's going to affect the team. This will be the game going from coast to coast. It's a small stadium, but it can get loud. Maybe for a USC, who knows? They're not known to be a very hostile environment. But I can see that one being difficult. And we have Nebraska at home. Correct? I mean, you said Wisconsin. Sorry, Wisconsin at home, right? So Luke Fickell's going to do great things there. I mean, look what he did at Cincinnati. Now he's going to have Big Ten rosters, and I think he's going to do well. I'm just not sure if he's there yet.
Yeah. I totally agree. So moving on real quick. If you guys have one freshman, and thank you, Christian, USC girls for the 87-53. and
There we
Juju
go.
and Juju we trust. Hey, Juju is the truth. And hopefully I have my shirt by the time that the Final Four comes. I got a big Juju shirt. Get ready to be on the way because that girl, she's representing to the fullest, man. I'm more excited about women's basketball more so than ever. It's unbelievable. If I had one freshman on both sides of the ball, I got mine, but I'll kind of wait to say mine. I'll let you guys go. I want Tim to say I'm stealing his guy. If I had one freshman on each side of the ball to say that they could be an impact player this first season, which freshman would it be? One on both sides of the ball.
So I'm gonna go
I can
with
go first if you want to, but I'll wait for you guys.
No, Jay, you go first.
Oh, you? All right. So
you take it. We're probably gonna have very similar ones. I feel like.
You know, I looked at this guy the other day. I listened to Lincoln Riley's comments, and he talked about Elijah Newby. And I don't know. I meant to put this picture up here in this on this live today. But Elijah Newby, the way he looks, how physical he looks bigger than both linebackers that we have right now. Whether it's Rajon Mason, I mean, the guy is unbelievable. He runs a 10-9 and 100. Lincoln talked about him moving them all over. One of the things, I did a video on him, and I talked about him being a Swiss Army knife. And my God, I think this kid, he may get some serious playing time. And if it's like anything that they're saying, as far as, what I've been saying, may the best man win, I think Elijah Newby may be able to slip in there and get some type of playing time. And the more you see a guy like him, the harder it's going to keep him off the field. That's just kind of the way I feel about Elijah Newby. Now, another guy is, I watched this film the other day. It's a guy by the name of Brandon Jackson. I think this kid, he's 229 pounds, but he's shifty, more shifty, McKinney, Texas, more shifty than what a lot of people even realize. And I think if they get a little dose of him, I labeled him the next Lynn. I love Quinn Joyner. I love all these guys. But I'm just saying, he's a guy I'm excited to see, and I think he can possibly get some playing time as a true freshman. You guys.
He's a load. And if you saw pictures of him, he looks like he's a junior already, in college.
His legs are so thick, man. I'm like, man, this dude here. But you guys.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna try to go a different direction than since you took them. So and I agree with you, by the way, that whole thing on the Swiss Army knife, kind of like the Jalen Smith, kind of like that theme of versatility. I wrote a story on it. That's what I talked about. They are absolutely this staff wants guys that can play multiple positions. And I agree with you. At some point, Newby may grow out of that linebacker position and move up to a defensive end. You just don't know. But I'm gonna go with either on offense. So I won't take Brian Jackson, although I think he's gonna be something special. I'm torn between Joey Olsen or Walter Matthews. I think that Matthew's development will be a little bit slower, but Joey Olsen, a lot of people don't know who he is, but this guy is a reception machine.
Yes. And
it's going to be a crowded room. Lake McCree is supposed to be back for fall. So it's going to be difficult, but I think as far as freshmen go, he could be something to keep an eye on this year and going forward with Joey Olsen.
Defense,
and then Cam Fountain. I mean, that guy.
Hey, that footage I saw today. Yeah.
Yeah. You call it. You took Newby, which is again a great pick, and then I'll just pivot over to Cam Fountain because I think he can be something really special early as well. Just he's built again. He's like one of those guys that looks. He walked onto the practice facility, and we watched through Goo Gate. He already looks like he's been there for 4 years. You know what I mean? So it's development being developed by Eric, Coach Henney. It's gonna be him, if not Elijah Newby. Watch for Cameron Fountain this year.
No doubt. Rusty.
Yeah. I've got the tough job of going last. I was going to say Joey Olsen for offense, mostly because, he's a reception machine, but he's up to 248 pounds.
Too.
Wow. Yeah, he worked hard in the offseason. That dude's huge, and the fact that that tight end room isn't super deep, it's really kind of up for grabs at this point. He can definitely play. But if I'm going to go with somebody else, I guess on the offensive side, I'm going to go with Jason Sandamela, the offensive lineman center, number one interior offensive lineman from last year's recruiting class. I think last year we saw Henson make some changes on the offensive line as some of the guys, got developed, as some of the changes need to be made. I think that there may be a point this year where, maybe he's not playing center, but maybe he's in at right guard. He could be one of those players that comes in and plays a few snaps here and there, but, by season's end, he's getting some real good minutes. I think he's kind of one of those rare freshman offensive linemen that came in kind of ready to play. So, that's who I would go with on offense. On defense, it's tough because you all took the obvious ones there. But I'll go with Desmond Stevens, and it may not be this season, and it may be mostly special teams from him. But I think if he gets on the field and is playing special teams, the coaching staff sees something out of him. If you watch his film coming out of high school, obviously he is new to playing linebacker. He was basically a corner that didn't stop growing. So the fact that he's kind of playing this full time for the first time is going to be pretty exciting. I think his film, he comes out of into the backfield like a rocket. So I think he's going to be one of those really good linebackers and one of those steals that we see developed by Matt Entz in the next couple of years. But definitely see him making hopefully some impact on special teams and like kickoff and stuff.
Man, I totally agree. And crazy and oddly enough, man, Desmond Stevens, I think he's like, did they say he was 233 the other day or two?
Yeah, 233.
That's crazy. And he's super athletic. He can actually, you guys know, I mean, he's played like several positions. I agree with that, Rusty. He's played several positions, even running back. He could be a backup running back if you really wanted him to, because he's played all those positions. So yeah, I totally agree. Now, can we just put the rest that this class is severely underrated, just like last year's class?
Yeah.
Guys like Elijah Hughes, Braylon Shelby, all these guys. Look at the guys we naming out, because we looked at the quality of their film opposed to the rating system. And really, even Marquise Gallegos, Braylon Conley, you got guys that are coming in here that are extremely underrated. You guys' thoughts on that aspect of it?
No, you couldn't say it better. Look at the names we didn't name, and you just rattled off some of them. I mean, the guys, the talent they're coming in, and the size. We didn't talk about Marcellus Williams. I mean, the only reason I'm not calling him out is because we just have so, as far as that nickel and that corner, I think this could be the hottest competition around. There's a bunch of, they just transferred in and recruited a little bit over his head. But man, you wait, Marcellus Williams, he's going to be something special too. Yeah, from top to bottom, this class, I've got no idea why. Will they end up like 18 or 17? Or
17, I think, in one side and 18 in another.
I always look at, I think they do a great job on these recruiting services. They really do. And obviously know much more about this than I do. But I'm just telling you, I think they're a little bit, Tennessee centric, meaning all these companies, they're all in Nashville, Tennessee. If you ever look where 247 is or On 3, they're all headquartered in the South. And I don't know. I just, the odds that there's so many NFL guys from California and so few 5 stars and so few stars on the West Coast compared to the guys at the highest stage. And, if you want to know the biggest barometer, look at that NFL draft. And it's not like there's not a bunch of California guys getting drafted because they are. So it's something to think about.
Yeah, no doubt. And I got to go find this video. Aaron Butler. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. Says Aaron Donald just did a Twitter video with USC's official account talking about why he is there today. And listen, we got to I got to get that. I got to get on that. I got to get on that.
I retweeted it out while we were on.
Okay. Yeah, I got to get that. I got to get on that ASAP. Newbie's only 210 pounds. Cobb is now 234. I get that. But what I'm saying is this, is that he looks bigger than 210 pounds right now. And the footage that I saw of him, I did see practice footage today. And you couple that with what Lincoln Riley had to say as well, as far as they put him at middle linebacker right now. It sounds like he's really catching on right now. And we'll see how it develops. He is a freshman. We'll see how it develops. But I would, if I had one to pick, it would be him and Brandon Jackson. And I'm sticking with it. Jay, you need to ground. Yeah, my son. Listen, man, my son. I don't even want to talk about that. How this happened, but you guys know I'm from Los Angeles, nowhere near Louisiana. But he says, Dad, you should be ashamed of yourself, letting everyone say USC is going to beat LSU. I'm not going to even talk about how he got like that, but you know, his mom is from Louisiana. I'll just leave it at that. So anyway, look, man, I appreciate all you guys, man, for coming on, man. It was an absolute pleasure having you guys on. I didn't want to go over an hour. This is Saturday. I hate that I had this doing the women's basketball game. I wasn't thinking. But any last things before you guys get out of here, man? Definitely appreciate you guys coming on.
I just want to echo, thank you for having me. Again, I watch all of Jay's. I wear Jay's hat, half the year. Jay, I'm still waiting for my new one though. I need a new one. This is getting
I got you, man. I got you.
But no, I just, it was a pleasure and honor to be on both of you guys. You aren't checking out Rusty either. It's just, there's a great USC community. If you just go out there, reach out and find it, they're all there. And if you aren't following Rusty, or if you guys aren't subscribed to USCJ, again, I really just don't know what you're doing. Appreciate my time here, and fight on.
Rusty, anything you want to say before we get out of here, man?
Yeah, Jay, thanks for having me on. Again, follow both of these guys. These are the voices of USC football. I'm just the dog of USC football. So, yeah, no, appreciate it. And again, happy to do this anytime. Fight on.
Absolutely. You're a dog in USC football. You're a big dog, man. Everybody knows the big dog, Rusty. And everybody make sure they go to Twitter and find Rusty. He puts out some incredible things, some funny things, some crazy things. And you can find him at Fight on Rusty or Arrogant Nation on Twitter. And then Tim as well. You can find him at the Voice of College Football. You see him there. He does it on Monday and Friday, has a call-in show. He's doing a great job there. He's coupled with Matt. And so Matt Zimick. So look, man, I appreciate these guys for coming on. Until later on, listen, everybody stay blessed. We're out of here. Fight on, fight on.
Fight on.